My name is Hollis Ward. I painted the south wall of my house in the spring of 1994, by hand, with a brush and a scraper, and about 9 days I didn't have. That paint job lasted 11 years. In 2005, I painted the same wall again. Same brand, same color, same man on the same ladder. Only difference is that in 2005, I owned a pressure washer, and I was proud of it. That paint job failed in 3 years. I blamed the paint, then I blamed the primer. Then I blamed the company for changing the formula, which I said out loud to several people who were polite about it. It took me until about 2014 and a rotten windowsill on a neighbor's place that I helped tear out to understand that I had been the problem and that I'd done it to myself on a Saturday afternoon with a machine I was pleased to own. I'm 63. I've lived in the Missouri Ozarks my whole life. Stay with me and I'll show you the 2 numbers that explain the whole thing. Why the damage takes 3 years to appear, and the $5 mix that does the actual cleaning, which was never the pressure to begin with. And I want to be careful with the title, because it's broader than the truth. Pressure washing is not what's wrong with your siding. Pressure, angle, and timing are what's wrong, and it's mostly angle. A wall pointed at from the correct direction with a garden hose is fine. A wall hit from below with a rental machine is a different event entirely. And I am not telling you to stop cleaning your house. Dirt holds water. Algae holds a great deal of water, and it stays wet for days after a rain. A dirty wall really is a wetter wall, and it really does eat paint faster. Not washing is also a mistake. What I'm telling you is that the pressure was never doing the cleaning. You were sold a tool that does something impressive and something destructive at the same time. And the impressive part is what you can see. Let's start with what your wall actually is, because almost nobody has been told this, and it explains everything after. Your siding is not waterproof. It was never designed to be waterproof. Nobody who built your house believed it was waterproof. Siding is a shedding layer. Its job is to catch most of the water and throw it downward and outward. And it does that with laps, the same way shingles do. Every course overlaps the one below it. Water lands, runs down the face, crosses the lap, and keeps going down. Behind that siding, against the sheathing, there is supposed to be a second layer. Tar paper on an older house, plastic house wrap on a newer one. That layer is called the water-resistive barrier, and in the trade, the surface of it is called the drainage plane. That's your actual waterproofing, not the siding, the paper behind it. And between the two, on a well-built wall, there's a gap, a capillary break, anywhere from the thickness of the lap itself up to a deliberate 3/4-inch cavity on a modern rain screen wall. Water that gets past the siding is supposed to hit that paper, run down it, and come out at the bottom of the wall through weep holes or flashing. So your wall is a drainage system pretending to be a solid surface, and every part of it assumes one thing, that water arrives from above, gravity-driven, top-down, low speed, same as a roof. Now here's the part I want you to hold on to. You would never take a hose and stand in your gutter and spray upward under your shingles. Nobody would do that. You'd know instantly that you were putting water into the one place the roof can't handle it, because a roof only works in one direction. A wall only works in one direction too. It's the same system, turned vertical. And every year, several million people in this country point a wand upward at their siding, under the butt edge of every lap, and hold it there. Now the 2 numbers. Wind pressure against a wall is measured in pounds per square foot, not per square inch. 100-mile-an-hour wind, a genuine hurricane, driving rain flat against the side of your house, puts something on the order of 25 pounds per square foot on that wall. Convert that to the unit on the side of a pressure washer, and it's about 1/5 of 1 pound per square inch. A rental pressure washer runs 2,500 to 4,000 pounds per square inch. So the machine in your hands is delivering somewhere north of 10,000 times the pressure that a hurricane puts on your wall, from a direction the wall was never built to face, at a distance of about 8 inches. Your house has survived every storm it has ever seen. It has not been designed for you. Here's what that does, material by material. On painted wood, the stream finds every place the paint film is already weak, gets under the edge, and lifts it. That part you can see, and it feels productive. What you can't see is that it also drove water into the wood at those spots. And then people paint the following weekend, because the wall looks so clean, and they seal several gallons of water underneath a fresh film. That paint blisters in the second summer and peels in the third, and by then nobody remembers the washing. On bare or weathered wood, and this is the one that has a name, it erodes the soft early wood between the hard grain lines and leaves the surface furred up and standing. That's called raised grain. It roughly turns a smooth board into a wire brush, and every one of those raised fibers is a wick. You have taken a surface that shed water and given it a texture that holds it. On vinyl, understand what vinyl is. Vinyl siding hangs loose on purpose. It's nailed with slop so it can move. The laps are not sealed, and there are weep slots along the bottom edge of every panel. It is openly, by design, a rain screen. Water is expected to get behind it in small amounts and drain out the bottom. The Vinyl Siding Institute's own cleaning guidance tells you to aim the stream straight at the siding and not upward, for exactly this reason. Point a wand up under those panels and you are not letting water in, you are pumping it in. On fiber cement, the manufacturers publish a pressure ceiling in their own installation and care instructions, and it is a fraction of what the rental counter hands you. Above it, you erode the cement matrix and open the surface. On stucco, you are forcing water into an absorbent material that is several inches thick and dries slowly. And if you have synthetic stucco, the foam-backed system, that's a wall assembly with a hard history. In the mid-1990s, inspectors in New Hanover County, North Carolina, found widespread hidden rot behind synthetic stucco on relatively new houses, and it changed how codes treat that assembly nationally. That is a wall that punishes trapped water more than almost any other. And on brick, especially brick laid before about 1930, with soft lime mortar, high pressure cuts the mortar out of the joints. This is not a fringe opinion. The National Park Service says so in Preservation Brief 1, its published guidance on cleaning historic masonry, and it has said so for decades. Federal preservation standards treat high-pressure water on old masonry as damage, not maintenance. Now, why don't you feel any of this the next day? Because water inside a wall does not announce itself. There's no drip, no stain, no sound. It sits in a dark cavity with no air moving through it, and it leaves at whatever rate that assembly allows, which might be weeks. And wood does not rot from being wet. Wood rots from staying wet. Decay fungi need wood moisture sustained above roughly 20% to get going. Below that, they're inert. Same 20% line I gave you for firewood last week, and it's the same reason, because it's the same organism problem. So one wash doesn't rot a wall. One wash a year for 9 years, into a cavity that never fully dries between them, does. What you get is a soft spot under a window. A stripe of peeling paint that comes back no matter how you prep it. Carpenter ants in a wall in April, which people treat as a bug problem. And it is not a bug problem. It's a moisture problem with bugs in it. A faint mushroom smell in a closet on the north side. 3 years later, sometimes 5. Which brings us to why nobody stopped you. Start with the honest part. And it's not a villain. It's a missing wire. Any practice with an immediate visible reward and a delayed invisible cost will spread, and it will keep spreading, and nobody involved will ever learn anything. That's the whole story here. The clean stripe on your siding appears in 4 seconds. The rot appears in 4 years, in a place you can't see, and by the time it shows up it looks like a paint problem, or an ant problem, or an old house problem. There is no feedback. Nobody was ever told they were wrong, including me, for 11 years. Then look at how the machines are sold. Walk into any home center in April and look at the boxes. There is exactly one number printed large on the front of every one of them, and it's PSI. It's the whole marketing. Every model year that number has to go up, because that's the number people compare. And a machine that advertised lower pressure and better results would not survive 1 season on that shelf. So the consumer market has spent 30 years in an arms race toward the specific property that damages residential surfaces. Then the rental counter, $80 a day for 3,200 PSI. Nobody behind that counter is going to ask you what your siding is made of, what year your house was built, or whether you're planning to paint next weekend. That's not their job and it isn't their liability. They rent you a machine that works, and it does work, and off you go. Then the painting trade. When a 3-year-old paint job fails, the diagnosis that generates a job is bad paint or bad prep. The diagnosis that generates no job is your substrate was soaked before you coated it, and you need to wait a season. One of those gets said a lot more than the other, and the people saying it are not being dishonest, they're being paid to solve what's in front of them. And what does the correct method require? A $30 pump sprayer, a jug of household bleach, and a garden hose. There is nothing there to rent, nothing to finance, no number to print on a box, and no reason for anybody to run a spring commercial about it. Which brings me to what's actually on your wall, because this is the part that flips the whole thing around. Those gray-green streaks and the black speckling on the north and shaded sides of your house are not dirt. They're alive. Algae, mildew, and mold colonies growing in the film of moisture that a shaded wall holds. You are not cleaning a surface, you are killing an organism. And that's why pressure appears to work and doesn't. High pressure knocks the visible growth off the wall. It does not kill what's rooted in the pores and the paint film. So it looks perfect in June, and it's back by the following spring. And every year you go up there again with the machine, and every year you put more water into the wall. It's mowing a weed instead of killing it. The top goes away, the root laughs at you, and you've committed to doing it forever. Chemistry kills it, and when you kill it, it stays gone for 2, 3, sometimes 4 years. That method has a name in the trade: soft washing. Low pressure, correct chemistry, dwell time, rinse. Here's the list. A pump sprayer, 1 or 2 gallon, and buy one rated for chemicals or bleach. $25 to $40 at the farm store or hardware store. A cheap garden sprayer's seals will swell and quit on you in a season. Household bleach, the plain kind. Sodium hypochlorite. No scent, no splashless, no additives. $4 to $6 a gallon. A little dish soap as a surfactant, which just means it makes the mix cling to a vertical surface instead of running off. A tablespoon or 2 per gallon of mix. Do not use more. And do not use anything with ammonia in it. And I'll come back to that hard in a second. A soft bristle car wash brush on an extension pole. $15 to $25 for anything genuinely stuck on. Your garden hose. And if you want more rinsing power, a $15 fireman-style nozzle. And if you have heavy landscaping right against the wall, buy oxygen bleach instead, which is sodium percarbonate, sold as a powder. It's slower and gentler, and it won't kill your plants. Total, under $60, and most of it you keep. Now the safety, and I'm putting it before the method because 2 of these are serious. Never, under any circumstances, mix bleach with anything containing ammonia. That makes chloramine gas. Never mix it with an acid, including vinegar or a masonry cleaner, because that releases chlorine gas. People are hospitalized every year mixing household products in a bucket. Bleach, water, a squirt of plain dish soap. Nothing else goes in that sprayer. If your house was built before 1978, assume the old paint under everything contains lead. The EPA's Renovation, Repair, and Painting Rule, in effect since 2010, exists because of exactly this. Blasting that paint off scatters chips into the soil where children play and where you grow tomatoes. Low pressure and a wet method keep it down. High pressure is the worst possible approach. Never operate a pressure washer wand from a ladder. The recoil is real, and it comes at the moment you pull the trigger. And a man on the 3rd rung with a wand in both hands has no way to catch himself. And know this one, because most people don't. High-pressure spray can inject water and bacteria under your skin through a wound that looks like a pinprick. It doesn't bleed much and it doesn't hurt much at first. That's a surgical emergency, not a first aid kit situation. And the emergency room needs to be told it was a pressure injection. Then the ordinary ones. Eye protection. Don't spray into outlets, the meter base, the service entrance, dryer vents, or the air conditioner. Wet down your plants before and rinse them thoroughly after. And do not spray upward into your soffit vents. I spent a whole video telling you to open those. They lead directly into your attic, and a wand pointed up under an eave puts water on your insulation. Now the method, and it's slow and boring, which is the point. Pick a cool, overcast day, not full sun, because the mix has to stay wet on the wall to work, and sun dries it in 3 minutes. Wet the plants and the ground below the wall first. Mix roughly 1 part bleach to 4 or 5 parts water for heavy growth, weaker for light. Add the soap last and don't shake it into foam. Work from the bottom up when you apply. That sounds backwards, and it isn't. Applying upward keeps the mix from running down over dry siding and leaving streaks that won't come out. Let it dwell 10 to 15 minutes. Watch it. If it starts drying, mist it again. The dwell is the entire job. That's the part doing the work you thought the machine was doing. Brush only where something's actually stuck. Then rinse with a garden hose, from the top down, with the stream aimed straight at the wall or angled slightly downward, never up. Rinse your plants again when you're done. The mistakes, quick. Angling up under the laps. If you take nothing else, take that. Washing right before painting. Give a wall a minimum of 2 or 3 dry days before any coating goes on it, and longer if it's wood and the weather's been damp. If you have last week's pin moisture meter, put it on a bare spot. Above 20%? Wait. Using a 0-degree or turbo tip on any part of a house, those exist for concrete. Holding the tip close. Even at low pressure, 6 inches is a different tool than 2 feet. Skipping the dwell. This is the most common one. People spray the mix and rinse it in 90 seconds and conclude the mix doesn't work. Bleach on bare or oiled wood decks, where it can grey the fibers. That's where oxygen bleach belongs. And washing a wall while the weep holes at the bottom are blocked. Go look. On brick veneer, there should be open gaps in the mortar in the bottom course, just above the flashing. On vinyl, there are slots along the bottom edge of the panels. In a great many houses, those are packed with mortar, caulk, paint, mulch, or dirt piled up against the wall. That's the drain at the bottom of the drainage plane. Blocked, everything I described earlier gets worse. For upkeep, once a year, and it's a walk, not a chore. Every spring, walk your walls slowly and look at the shaded sides for the first grey haze coming back. Catching it early means a weak mix and one afternoon instead of a heavy mix and a hard day. While you're walking, look at the bottom 8 inches of the wall. Mulch and grade should sit well below the bottom edge of your siding, not against it. 6 inches of clearance is the common target, and almost nobody has it. And keep the sprayer rinsed out and stored empty. Bleach will eat it from the inside if you leave it loaded, and then you'll blame the sprayer. Here's the one thing to do, and it's a test patch, and it takes 20 minutes on the next cloudy afternoon. Mix 1 quart of bleach with a gallon of water and a tablespoon of dish soap in a chemical-rated pump sprayer. Wet the ground and the plants below. Then pick a 2-foot square on the shadiest, ugliest wall you own, low, where nobody looks. Spray it. Wait 15 minutes without touching it. Keep it wet. Then rinse it with a garden hose from the top down. Don't scrub it, don't help it. That's the experiment. What you will see is that square come back to the color of the rest of the house without a machine touching it, and you'll have spent about $5 in mix and no water inside your wall. And now you'll know in your own hands, on your own wall, that the pressure was never what was cleaning it. Next week, I'm going to show you the 4 places on the outside of your house where you should never put caulk. This is going to bother people because caulk feels like the responsible thing, and it feels like sealing is always good. In 4 specific spots, it traps water in the wall instead, and one of them is a place almost every homeowner in America has caulked at least once. Water is supposed to get behind your siding. That was always the plan. Your only job is to make sure it can get back out. So don't put it in from underneath, and don't seal the way out.